The stars had watched Earth for billions of years. They had seen the first fish crawl onto land. They had seen the dinosaurs rise and fall. They had seen humans build their first fires, their first cities, their first rockets. And now, the stars had brought visitors. The Galactic Council ship descended through Earth's atmosphere on a spring morning in the year 2247. It was massive. Nearly 2 kilometers long, shaped like a crystal grown in zero gravity, it landed in the fields outside Geneva. The grass beneath it turned to glass from the heat of its engines. 12 species ruled the known galaxy. They had been traveling between stars for millions of years before humans learned to walk upright. They called themselves the Elder Races, and they had come to offer humanity a gift. Or so they said. Chancellor Una Park stood at the edge of the landing zone with her advisors. She was a small woman with gray hair and calm eyes. She had led Earth's government for 15 years, and she had prepared for this moment her entire life. Her grandmother had told her stories about the lights in the sky, the signals from distant stars. Now those stories had become real. The ship opened, and the ambassador walked out. His name was Vorath, and he was not human in any way. His body was made of living crystal, blue and white, catching the sunlight and scattering it into rainbows. He stood 3 meters tall. When he spoke, his voice came from everywhere at once, like wind through a canyon. People of Earth, Vorath said, the Galactic Council greets you. We have watched your development with interest. You have achieved space travel. You have touched your moon and your neighboring planets. This is worthy of recognition. Una stepped forward. She bowed slightly, a gesture of respect. We are honored by your visit, Ambassador Vorath. Earth welcomes you. Earth's crystal body flickered with light. This was how his species showed pleasure. We come with an offer. The Council invites humanity to join the galactic community. You would become a protected species, guided by elder races who can help you avoid the mistakes young civilizations often make. You would have access to our technology, our medicine, our knowledge. In return, you would accept Council authority over your external affairs. Una listened carefully. She noticed the words he used. Protected species. Guided, accept authority. These were not the words of equals speaking to equals. These were the words of parents speaking to children. We are grateful for this offer, Una said. We will consider it carefully. Vorath waited. Seconds passed. Then another. Chancellor Park, he said. I do not think you understand. This is not a negotiation. The Council does not negotiate with young species. We protect you, or we ignore you. There is no middle path. Una smiled. It was a gentle smile, the kind a teacher might give a student who has said something foolish without knowing it. We understand perfectly, Ambassador. We will consider your offer. Please enjoy our hospitality while you wait for our response. Vorath stayed on Earth for 1 month. He was given fine rooms, excellent food, and polite conversation. He toured human cities and met human scientists and artists. Everywhere he went, people were kind to him, but no answer came. On the 31st day, Vorath requested a final meeting with Chancellor Una. I must return to the Council, he said. I cannot return without your answer. Will humanity accept protection, or will you be ignored? Una sat across from him in a simple wooden chair. She had tea in her hands. She took a small sip before speaking. Ambassador Vorath, we have considered your offer with great seriousness, and we have decided that we need more time to consider it further. How much time? Una set down her tea. We will contact you when we have reached a decision. Vorath's crystal body turned dark, almost black. This was how his species showed confusion and frustration. This is not acceptable. The Council requires an answer. Then the Council will have to wait. Vorath left Earth that day. His report to the Council was simple. The humans had said nothing. They had not accepted. They had not rejected. They had simply waited. The Council decided to wait as well. Surely these young primates would come to their senses. Surely they would realize how much they needed the protection of elder races. Surely the answer would come soon. It did not come. 10 years passed, then 50, then 100. Earth sent no messages to the Council. When Council ships passed through the Sol system, humans greeted them politely and traded with them fairly. But they never asked to join. They never asked for help. They never asked for anything at all. The galaxy began to whisper about them. The silent ones, they called them. The Watchers. The strange primates who smiled too much, deep beneath Earth's surface, in caverns that no satellite could see. Admiral Taiho Shin walked through rows of sleeping warships. He was the commander of the Deep Fleet, a military force that officially did not exist. For 300 years, Earth had been building these ships in secret, thousands of them, each one more advanced than anything the Council had ever seen. Taiho is an old man now, the third admiral to hold this position. He had inherited this responsibility from his predecessor, who had inherited it from the admiral before him. A chain of duties stretching back to the day Vorath's ship first touched Earth's soil. His second in command, a young captain named Minji Beak, walked beside him. "Admiral," she said, "do you think we will ever use them?" Taiho looked at the ships. They were beautiful in their terrible way. Weapons of unimaginable power, sleeping in the dark. "I hope not," he said. "We built these ships so that we would never have to use them. We stay silent so that the galaxy will forget us. We hide our strength so that no one will test it. And if someone does test it," Taiho stopped walking. He turned to face Minji with eyes that had seen too much history. "Then we will remind the galaxy why silence is not the same as weakness. We are not hiding because we are afraid. We are hiding because we know what we are capable of, and we do not wish to become monsters." Minji nodded slowly. She understood. Humanity had made a choice 3 centuries ago. They had chosen to be left alone. They had chosen peace. But they had also prepared for the day when peace would no longer be possible. That day was coming. Neither of them knew it yet, but somewhere across the galaxy, a decision was being made that would change everything. The Galactic Council met once every 10 cycles on a world called Desser Prime. It was an ancient place, older than most stars in the galaxy. The council chambers were carved from a single mountain of black stone, and the ceiling was open to the sky so that the stars themselves could witness the decisions made below. On this day, representatives from all 12 elder species had gathered. They sat in a circle, each one different from the others. Some were made of light. Some were made of metal. Some had bodies that shifted like water. And in the highest seat, carved from the bones of a dead god, sat High Arbiter Malix of the Voran Dominion. Malix was not beautiful. His species had evolved on a world of constant war, and their bodies showed it. He had 4 arms, each one ending in claws that could tear through steel. His skin was thick like armor. His eyes were red, and they saw everything as either a threat or a resource. He had been High Arbiter for 200 years. In that time, he had expanded Council territory by 30%. He had crushed 17 rebellions. He had ordered the extinction of 3 species that had refused to obey Council law. He was very proud of these accomplishments today. He had a new proposal. "Fellow Council members," Malik said, his voice echoing through the chamber, "I wish to discuss the matter of the Sol system." The other representatives shifted in their seats. The Sol system, Earth, the silent ones. It was a subject that made everyone uncomfortable. 300 years ago, we offered the humans protection, Malix continued. They gave us no answer. We have waited patiently. We have given them every opportunity to join us. And still, they say nothing. A representative from the Etherian Collective, a being made entirely of golden light, spoke up. "The humans have caused no trouble. They keep to themselves. Perhaps we should continue to let them be," Malix laughed. It was an ugly sound. Let them be. They occupy a star system with 3 habitable worlds and 2 gas giants rich in fuel. They control access to the Outer Rim territories, and they do nothing with these resources. They sit on their little planet like frightened animals. "They are not hurting anyone," the Etherian said. "They are wasting potential," Malix replied. "The Voran Dominion could use that system. We could build shipyards there, mining stations, military bases. Instead, it sits empty because a species of talking monkeys decided to be shy." The chamber was silent. Many of the representatives agreed with Malix, though they would not say so openly. Resources were resources. The galaxy was vast, but useful systems were not infinite. Malix stood from his seat. He was enormous, nearly 4 meters tall, and when he moved, the ground shook slightly. "I propose the reclamation doctrine," he said. "We will send a message to Earth. We will inform them that their silence has been interpreted as rejection of Council authority. Therefore, they have no claim to Council protection. The Sol system will be absorbed into Vorin territory. The humans will be relocated." "Relocated where?" the Etherian asked. Mal. Ix smiled. His teeth were sharp. "We have reserve worlds for minor species. Places where they can be preserved for study. Their biological materials will be archived. Their culture, such as it is, will be recorded. They will be comfortable enough. We were talking about putting them in a zoo," the Etherian said. "I'm talking about efficiency," Malix replied. "They are animals who have stumbled onto technology they do not deserve. We will treat them humanely. But we will not let them waste resources that could benefit the real powers of this galaxy." The vote was called. 11 species voted in favor of the reclamation doctrine. 1 species abstained. None voted against. The message was sent to Earth that same day at the Geneva relay station. Communications Director Hannah Yu was working late. She was a young woman, only 32 years old, but she was brilliant with signals and codes. She had been fascinated by alien communications since she was a child, and now she spent her days listening to the whispers of the galaxy. When the Council's transmission arrived, Hannah decoded it automatically. She expected the usual diplomatic nonsense. Trade agreements. Travel advisories. Formal greetings from species that barely remembered Earth existed. This message was different. She read it once. Then again, then a third time, hoping she had made a mistake in the translation. She had not. Her hands were shaking as she picked up. The secure line to the Chancellor's office. Una Park was old now, 112 years old. Kept alive by medicine that had been developed in secret on Earth, but her mind was still sharp. And when Hannah told her about the message, her voice did not waver. "Read it to me," Una said. Every word. Hannah read it. She read about the reclamation doctrine. She read about the 60 rotations humanity had to evacuate their homeworld. She read about the biological materials and the reserve worlds. She read about Malix calling humans animals who had stumbled onto technology they did not deserve. When she finished, there was silence on the line. "Chancellor," Hannah said, "are you still there?" "Yes," Una said. "I am here. What do we do?" Una was quiet for a long moment. 300 years. For 300 years, humanity had stayed silent. They had built their ships in secret. They had developed their technology in hidden laboratories. They had hoped, prayed that the galaxy would simply leave them alone. That hope was dead now. "Connect me to Admiral Shin," Una said. "Use the secure channel. The one that does not exist." Anna's fingers trembled as she made the connection. She had trained for this scenario. Everyone in the communications corps had trained for it. But training was not the same as reality. When Taiho Shin's voice came through the line, it was calm. "To calm Chancellor Park," he said. "I assume this is not a social call? They want us to leave our home, Admiral?" "They called us animals. They want to put us in a zoo." Then Taiho spoke again, and there was something new in his voice. Something cold and hard as iron. "What are your orders, Chancellor?" Una closed her eyes. She thought about her grandmother, who had died hoping for peace. She thought about the children playing in the streets of Geneva, who had never known war. She thought about the ships sleeping beneath the mountains, waiting for a call that should never have to come. "Wake the fleet," she said. "It is time to end our silence." Across the globe, in hidden bases and secret facilities, thousands of men and women received the same message. The code word they had hoped never to hear. The storm was waking. For 3 days after the Council's message arrived, nothing happened. The galaxy continued as it always had. Ships traveled between stars. Traders sold their goods. Politicians made their speeches. On Nesser Prime, High Arbiter Malix celebrated his victory with a feast that lasted 40 hours. He was very pleased with himself. The humans had not responded to his ultimatum. This meant they were afraid, just as he had predicted. They would leave their planet quietly, like the weak creatures they were. The Voran Dominion would take control of the Sol system without firing a single weapon. It was almost disappointing. On the fourth day, everything changed. It began at exactly the same moment across the entire galaxy. Every communication channel, every broadcast frequency, every quantum relay, every neural network suddenly carried the same signal. Technology that should have been incompatible merged together. Encrypted channels opened without passwords. Private networks became public. And on every screen, every display, every holographic projector in the known universe, a human face appeared. Her name was Jisoo Kwan, and she was 28 years old. She had been born in a small town on Earth's eastern coast, where the mountains met the sea. She had studied diplomacy and languages, but she had never expected to use her skills like this. She wore simple clothes, a white shirt, dark trousers. Nothing special. Her hair was pulled back from her face, and her eyes were kind but serious. She looked like someone you might meet on any street in any city. She looked ordinary. But when she spoke, her voice reached every corner of the galaxy. And she spoke in every language simultaneously, without pause or hesitation, as if she had been born knowing them all. "To the Galactic Council," Jisoo said. "We received your message. We have considered your proposal carefully." Thesser Prime, Malix stopped eating. He stared at the display that had appeared in his dining hall. This was impossible. No species in the galaxy could breach Voran communication systems. No technology existed that could translate in real time across thousands of languages. Our answer is no. The words hung in the air. Simple words. Two of them. But they carried the weight of 300 years of silence, finally broken. "You have made assumptions about us," Jisoo continued. "You assumed our silence meant weakness. You assumed our peace meant fear. You assumed that because we did not threaten you, we could not threaten you." On screens across the galaxy, images began to appear. Ships, hundreds of them, thousands of them, sleek and dark and beautiful and terrible, rising from beneath the oceans and mountains of Earth, launching from platforms hidden in asteroid fields, emerging from stations concealed in the corona of the sun itself, where temperatures should have made any technology impossible. "For 300 years we watched you," Jisoo said. "We studied your technology. We learned your weaknesses. We mapped every military installation in council space. We analyzed every supply route, every communication network, every defense system you have." Alex's claws dug into the table, leaving deep gouges in the metal. "We did not do this because we wanted to conquer you. We are not conquerors. We did not want territory or power or slaves. We wanted only one thing. We wanted to be left alone." Jisoo's face filled the screen. Her eyes seemed to look directly at every viewer, no matter where they were. But you could not allow that. You could not accept that a species might choose peace. You could not understand that silence might be strength rather than weakness. So you made threats. You called us animals. You said you would put our children in zoos. You insulted not just our government, but our mothers and fathers. Our grandparents are dead. The images changed again. Now they showed Earth, blue and green and white, floating in the darkness of space. Beautiful. Fragile, home to 8 billion people who had never asked for this conflict. "High Arbiter Malix," Jisoo said, and somehow her voice carried even more weight when she said his name. "You do not know what you have done. You have spent your life conquering weak species. You have never faced a civilization that chose not to fight because it was too strong." On Thesser Prime, Malix finally found his voice. "Cut this transmission," he screamed at his technicians. "Block it. Destroy whatever is causing it." His technicians tried everything. Nothing worked. The human woman continued speaking as if she could not be stopped. "We are not weak," Jisoo said. "We were never weak. We were patient. We were hopeful. We believed that if we showed the galaxy kindness and trade and peace, we would receive the same in return. We were wrong. The display showed more images now. Human scientists working in laboratories that seemed to bend the laws of physics. Human engineers building weapons that made council technology look like toys. Human soldiers training with a discipline and coordination that seemed almost supernatural. You have 60 rotations to leave your homes, you said. You will relocate us like animals, you said. Our culture is not worth preserving, you said. Jisu's face was calm. Her voice was steady. But something had changed in her eyes, something cold and final. Let me tell you what will happen now. You will not relocate us. You will not take our homes. You will not put our children in zoos. Instead, you will listen very carefully to what I say next. Malix felt something he had not felt in 200 years. Fear. In 12 hours, our fleet will arrive at your military bases. We will not attack civilian populations. We do not murder innocents. But we will destroy your ability to wage war. We will remove every weapon you have pointed at us. And when we are finished, we will make one demand. Only one. The galaxy held its breath. You will apologize. Akunis laughed. The sound was hollow and desperate. Apologize? For what? For insulting us? For threatening our children? For calling us animals? You will apologize to every human being who heard your words. You will do it publicly, and you will mean it. If you do not, we will come back. And the next time we will not be so gentle. The transmission ended as suddenly as it had begun. Screens across the galaxy returned to normal. Communication channels restored themselves. The strange technology that had allowed the broadcast simply vanished, as if it had never existed. In the silence that followed, Malix sat very still. His claws were still embedded in the table. His hearts were beating too fast. For 200 years, he had never lost a battle. He had crushed rebellions. He had destroyed species. He had made the galaxy tremble at his name. Now, for the first time in his long life, he wondered if he had finally made a mistake he could not fix. 12 hours. That was all the time he had. He began calling his generals. High Arbiter Malix gathered every ship he could find. From every corner of Vorin space, from every ally who owed him favors, from every mercenary fleet willing to fight for credits, he built an armada. 17,000 warships, the largest military force assembled in 300 years. He positioned them around the Council's capital world. Thesser Prime. Defensive formations. Overlapping shields. Weapons pointed at every approach vector. If the humans wanted a fight, he would give them one. His generals told him it was impossible for the humans to win. They had only shown a few thousand ships in their broadcast. The Council had overwhelming numbers. The Council had experience. The Council had been fighting wars for millions of years. Malix agreed with his generals, but he could not shake the fear that had settled in his chest. Something was wrong. The humans had been too confident. They had not threatened or begged or negotiated. They had simply said no, and then told him what would happen next. That was not how weak species behaved. 12 hours passed, then 13, then 14. Perhaps they were bluffing, one of his generals said. Perhaps they hoped we would surrender without a fight. Malix wanted to believe this. He almost did believe it. Then the human fleet arrived. They did not come from one direction. They came from everywhere at once. 1,000 ships appearing simultaneously at 12 different points around Thesser Prime. The scanners detected them, but only barely. Their technology was almost invisible. Admiral Taiho Shin stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Silent Thunder. He was an old man now, but his mind was sharp and his hands were steady. Around him, his crew worked in perfect coordination, connected by neural links that allowed them to share thoughts and reactions in real time, Captain. Mingy Beak commanded the Silent Promise, positioned directly above the Council's capital. She looked at her tactical display and counted the enemy ships. 17,000 against 1,000. On paper, it was suicide. Mingy smiled. She had studied council tactics for 20 years. She knew every weakness in their formations, every flaw in their weapon systems, every delay in their command structure. This was going to be easy. All ships report ready, Taiho said over the fleet channel. Remember our rules. No civilian targets. Precision strikes only. We are not monsters. We do not kill innocent people. 1,000 acknowledgements came back instantly. One mind, one purpose. Begin. The battle started and ended so quickly that most observers could not understand what had happened. Human ships moved in ways that broke the laws of physics. They accelerated without inertia. They turned at impossible angles. They were in one place, and then they were in another place, with nothing in between. The Council's targeting computers could not predict where they would be. Their weapons fired at empty space. Human weapons passed through Council shields as if they did not exist. Ships that had been considered invincible for millennia suddenly found holes appearing in their hulls. Engines shut down. Weapons systems went offline. Life support stayed functional because the humans were very precise about what they destroyed. Malix watched his armada fall apart in 11 minutes. He had spent weeks gathering these ships. He had called in every favor he had earned in 200 years. And in 11 minutes, the humans had reduced his military power by 60%, not destroyed, disabled. That was the worst part. The humans were not even trying to kill his soldiers. They were showing him that they could end his fleet without taking a single life. They were showing him that death was a choice they had not yet made. His flagship drifted powerless in space. The lights flickered. The artificial gravity failed, then restored itself, then failed again. Around him, his bridge crew floated in confusion and terror. A communication channel opened. Malix did not know how. His communication systems were supposed to be offline. Admiral Taiho Shin's face appeared on the screen. He was calm. His eyes were tired. He looked like a man who was doing something he had hoped never to do. "Hi, Arbiter Malix," Taiho said. "Your fleet is disabled. Your weapons are offline. Your shields have failed. You are helpless." Malix tried to speak. His voice came out as a croak. He tried again. "What do you want?" "We told you what we want." An apology. Leaks felt rage building in his chest. Apology. He was the High Arbiter of the Voran Dominion. He had conquered worlds. He had destroyed civilizations. He did not apologize to anyone, least of all a species of weak primates, who he stopped himself. He looked at the tactical display. 60% of his fleet was dark and drifting. The human ships were untouched. Not a single one had been damaged. Not a single human had died. This was not a battle. This was a lesson. "You could destroy us," Taiho said, reading his thoughts. "That is what you are thinking. You could rebuild your fleet. You could call more allies. You could try again. And maybe next time, you would do better." Malix said nothing. "You would not do better," Taiho continued. "What you saw today was not our full power. It was not even close to our full power. We have weapons that you cannot imagine. We have ships that you will never see coming. We have technology that makes your oldest achievements look like children's toys." The Admiral leaned forward. His eyes were hard now. "Could destroy you, High Arbiter. All of you. Every world in Council space. Every station. Every ship. We could end your civilization in days, and there is nothing you could do to stop us." Malix's claws trembled. He believed every word. "But we choose not to," Taiho said. "This is what you do not understand about humans. We have power, and we choose how to use it. We could be conquerors. We could be tyrants. We could rule this galaxy with fear and violence. Instead, we ask only for respect." "Respect," Malix repeated. The word felt strange in his mouth. "You called us animals. You threatened to put our children in zoos. You insulted 8 billion people who never did anything to harm you. That is what you must apologize for. Not to our government. Not to our military. To our people. To every human who heard your words and felt afraid for their families." Taiho's expression softened slightly. He looked almost sad. "We did not want this, High Arbiter. We wanted to be left alone. We wanted peace. You forced us to reveal what we are. Now you must live with that knowledge. The question is, what kind of future do you want? One where we are enemies forever? Or one where you admit you were wrong and we begin again? The channel remained open. Malix looked at his broken fleet. He looked at the human ships, untouched and waiting. He thought about his 200 years of victories and how quickly they had turned to ash. He had one choice left. One small way to salvage something from this disaster. He opened his mouth to speak. 3 days passed before the apology came. 3 days of silence from the council. 3 days of human ships waiting in the darkness around this or prime, patient and still, like wolves watching a wounded animal decide whether to fight or submit. Malix spent those 3 days arguing with the other council members. Some wanted to fight. They wanted to rebuild, to gather new allies, to find some weakness in human technology that could be exploited. Others wanted to run. They wanted to abandon Nesser Prime and scatter across the galaxy, hiding until the humans lost interest. But most of them, in the end, understood the truth. They had seen the battle. They had watched 17,000 ships fall in 11 minutes. They knew that running would only delay the inevitable, and fighting would only make things worse. The humans wanted an apology. That was all. It seemed like such a small thing compared to what they could have demanded. On the morning of the 4th day, High Arbiter Malix stood before the same galactic assembly that had approved the Reclamation Doctrine. The seats were full. Representatives from all 12 elder species watched in silence. They knew what was about to happen. Some of them were relieved. Others were ashamed. A few were already planning how to use this humiliation against the Voran Dominion in future negotiations. But all of them listened. Malix had prepared a speech. His advisors had written it for him, full of careful words and diplomatic phrases. It acknowledged mistakes without admitting fault. It expressed regret without accepting blame. It was exactly the kind of hollow statement that politicians had been making for millions of years. He threw it away. When Malix spoke, his voice was rough. His claws gripped the podium so hard that the metal bent beneath them. But for the first time in 200 years, he spoke the truth. To the people of Earth, he said, I was wrong. The words hung in the air. No qualifications. No excuses. Just 3 simple words. 300 years ago, you were given a choice. Join the Council as a protected species, or be ignored. You chose neither. You chose silence. And I did not understand that choice. He remembered the feast he had held after the vote, the confidence he had felt, the certainty that he was dealing with weak creatures who would scatter at the first sign of strength. I called you animals. I said you had stumbled onto technology you did not deserve. I proposed that you be relocated to reserve worlds, like specimens in a museum. I insulted your families. I threatened your children. I did all of this because I could not imagine that a species might choose peace when it had the power to choose war. He looked directly at the recording device that was broadcasting his words across the galaxy. Somewhere on a small blue world orbiting a yellow star, 8 billion humans were watching him. I was wrong about everything. You are not weak. You were never weak. You chose to be kind when you could have been cruel. You chose to trade when you could have conquered. You chose to build ships in secret rather than use them to dominate others. And when I pushed you too far, you showed me exactly how wrong I had been. You could have destroyed us. Instead, you asked only for an apology. His voice broke slightly. He was not used to this feeling, humility. It was uncomfortable, like wearing clothes that did not fit, so I apologize. Not to your government, not to your military, to your people. To every human who heard my words and felt fear, to every parent who wondered if their children would be taken from them, to every child who learned that the galaxy called them vermin. He lowered his massive head. You deserve better than what we offered you. You deserve to be treated as equals. And if you will allow it, I would like to begin again. The broadcast ended. The assembly was silent. On Earth, in a small apartment in a city by the sea, Professor Doyan Lim watched the apology with tears streaming down his face. He was a historian. He had spent his entire career studying first contact scenarios, analyzing what could go wrong when civilizations met for the first time. He had written papers about the importance of patience and understanding. He had given lectures about the dangers of arrogance and contempt he had never expected. To see his theories proven so dramatically, his grandmother had been born in the year Vorith's ship first landed on Earth. She had lived through the long silence, the years of waiting and hoping and preparing. She had died 10 years ago, still believing that peace was possible. "We did it, grandmother," Doyan whispered. "We stayed true to who we are." Across the globe, in the Chancellor's office in Geneva, Una Park watched the same broadcast. She was 112 years old now. She had led Earth through its greatest crisis. And now, finally, she could rest. She called Admiral Taiho Shin one last time. "Bring them home," she said. "Our ships, our soldiers, our children. Bring them all home? And then?" Taiho asked. Una smiled. It was the same gentle smile she had given Ambassador Vorith 300 years ago, when she had told him that Earth needed more time to consider the Council's offer, and then we returned to silence. The deep fleet withdrew from Council space. The ships that had been hidden beneath mountains and oceans returned to their secret harbors. The weapons platforms went dark. The research stations resumed their quiet studies. Within a year, Galaxy had almost forgotten the war that had lasted only 11 minutes. Trade resumed. Diplomats exchanged pleasantries. Life went on, but something had changed. When Council ships passed through the Sol system now, they moved carefully. They sent greetings in advance. They asked permission before entering human space. And when they met human traders or scientists or explorers, they treated them with a respect that had never existed before. The whispers about Earth changed too. The silent ones, people still called them the Watchers. But now those words carried a different meaning. They were not spoken with contempt or confusion. They were spoken with something closer to awe, because the galaxy now understood what human silence meant. It was not the silence of prey hiding from predators. It was not the silence of the weak hoping not to be noticed. It was the silence of those who had nothing to prove. The silence of those who knew exactly what they were capable of and chose not to demonstrate it. It was the silence of the storm, at rest, waiting. Chancellor Una Park gave one final address to humanity before her retirement. She stood in the same field outside Geneva where Vorith had landed 300 years ago. The grass had long since grown back, green and soft, covering the place where an alien ship had once turned soil to glass. "We have proven ourselves," she said. "The galaxy knows our strength. They know what we can do. And now, we must make a choice. We can become what we resisted. We can build empires and conquer worlds and make others fear us. Or we can return to what we were, a species that chose peace. A civilization that spoke softly and carried a very large stick, as one of our ancestors once said." She looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, 12 elder species were watching, waiting to see what humanity would do with its power. "Let our silence continue," Una said. "Not the silence of fear. The silence of those who have nothing left to prove. Let us be kind to those who visit us. Let us trade fairly with those who wish to trade. Let us help those who ask for help. And let us never forget that our greatest strength is not our ships or our weapons. It is our ability to choose. To choose peace when we could choose war. To choose mercy when we could choose vengeance. To choose silence when we could choose to scream." She smiled one last time. "We're human. This is who we are, and I am proud of us." The stars watched as Earth fell silent once more, but this time, every star knew what that silence meant, and they respected it.